The boys were called edgy, told they'd never make it past 5 episodes. Well, here those podcast jerks are, back for season 2. The Boys in the Woods podcast. The show your mother warned you about and that your dad was hiding in the basement listening to. Get ready for the Boys in the Woods podcast.
From the doldrums. Yeah. So if there's any, just gonna apologize ahead of time, Charles. You already know the audio issues. If we're having any audio issues, this is an actual virtual interview for me. Charles is actually in his studio. I'm in a hotel room. So just so anybody's wondering why the audio for me sounds a little sketch. Yeah. Exactly.
And of course, if any of this audio made you laugh and you felt like, hey, I want one of those hats or t-shirts, you could always find any of them on Boys in the Woods 906.shop. That's Boys in the Woods 906.shop. That's Boys in the Woods 906.shop. What a weekend, bro.
It was nuts.
For one, there is a reason this trophy is sitting here right now. There's a reason on the fantasy football Facebook pick'ems, I'm in the top 5%. Gator knows how to play. And if you had heard what I was talking about and actually listened to me, I would have called you a fool because I didn't believe what I was saying either. I cannot believe those games ended up the way they did. The Baltimore game, I'm not so shocked about. The Lions game, I don't know if I'm shocked or disgusted.
Disappointed, probably a little bit, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, I'm disappointed in the 49ers. I was very disappointed in the 49ers. They didn't come to play in the first half, which blows my mind. I mean, and the really poopy thing is that the first half football the Lions played was exactly what the Green Bay Packer game should have looked like.
I was going to say it looked a lot like the Packers first half versus the Niners. It really did.
The only difference is that Green Bay started to capitalize in the second half and the Lions stayed in the locker room trying to get hotel rooms for their families in Las Vegas.
Did you happen to see Gardner Johnson waving goodbye? Yeah, dude, come on, man.
Sick thing. 7 minutes left in the second quarter or something like that.
You don't do that.
Disgusting.
That's karma. That's karma. Man.
There was way too much karma. The football gods were tampered with. These young bloods out there thinking that they're bigger than the NFL, out there doing things, making people talk crazy. I've been seeing a little bit, and it's funny that it was brought up in our group chat, but I've been seeing a little bit about this taunting crap. Everything Zay Flowers did was a taunt. And that play, that exact play ended up leading to the fumble, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but Kelsey was doing this BS that he was doing these. He was getting up close and he was mini headbutting. If you want to find the video, there's video of him mini headbutting the guy. He's under his chin. He's getting up in his face. So he was doing just as much.
Was that video in slow motion or live?
No, it was live.
No, I'm saying the video clip. Is it being watched in slow motion or live? Because I'm noticing a lot that the internet is doing this cool thing where it takes something and slows it down to frames per second. That generates a more positive projection towards an unnecessary opinion.
It's the opposite way. Are you talking about the Caitlin Clark video in perhaps?
Well, there's that one too. Actually, that one is coming to mind more recently. Absolutely. You slow that down to 10,000 frames a second. And
it almost looks like she grabs her.
But slow a train hitting a car down to that many frames a second. And it looks like the car got in the way. Right? It's like, come on, but so that's why I had asked, does this clip, right? Because I mean, we're talking definitive taunts. The nitpicking at times, just like holds, right? There's holds on every play, right? More or less.
Absolutely.
On the offensive defensive line, everybody's fucking holding. When they call it, it's frustrating, but most of the time they call it and it's egregious.
Yeah.
The tiny tap to the chin Was it egregious? That's my ask. That's my ask to that question. You watched the video, I haven't. Did it look egregious?
No. I'm just saying that the people that are saying, Flowers wasn't doing anything. It's like, no, I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying that these people they're not looking at both sides of it. You know,
well,
they're
absolutely.
Just like,
They're not taking into consideration, was it egregious? Zay Flowers threw the fucking ball at the player and then gird him in the face. When has that ever been allowed? And I've seen worse. When has that been allowed?
Well, we know Karma came back and got him anyway in the end zone.
Absolutely. So. Had he just gotten up and played the game of football, he's being paid millions of dollars to do. This you're not a gladiator. This isn't Rome. You're catching a football.
Right. Tigers weren't going to come out of the fuck at halftime and fucking start attacking people.
Oh, I understand the adrenaline. You only understand the adrenaline if you've never been in a place where adrenaline was needed. Oh, I felt adrenaline. Yeah, okay. Okay, well, adrenaline does magical things. It doesn't make you a fucking monster, right? Get the fuck out of here. Get up, go back, do your fucking job. Because guess what happened? Now the entire trajectory of the game is misplaced because you decide to throw a ball at someone and yell and then get upset about it. And afterwards, did you think you scored a touchdown? Dumbest fucking question ever, by the way. Did you think you scored a touchdown? No, I was in.
Not according to instant replay and video evidence.
What?
There wasn't even a question.
But these are that's like the mentality of these people, right? That's why they need rules. That's why pro athletes in general, outside of the NHL, different breed of animals.
Well, you're saying they handle their stuff.
You get like a 2 and 5 minute major, and you get out there, you're done with it. That doesn't fit in any other sport. In the basketball court, what are you going to do? Have LeBron James and Steph Curry throw blows at half court? Assess each team for technicals.
Right.
What are you gonna do in the NFL? Have a field goal kickoff? Just gonna let dudes take off the helmets and start throwing blows, and then afterwards kick a couple field goals and get back to playing? How does that even work, right? Like, let's use a little bit of common sense when it comes to this scenario. You're playing a game of football. You made a good play. Get up, get back to your spot, get ready for the next play. Why are you doing anything else? Do your little thing. That's fine. All of that is fine and dandy. Do a goddamn cartwheel all the way back to the fucking huddle. Who cares? But why get in somebody's face? Why throw the football at somebody? Let alone throw the football at the referee who you're upset with about a spot. You don't think it's like people yelling at the people who make their food. Are you dumb? Just don't go back to that restaurant.
The only thing I can think of is that he's a rookie. He's young.
Well, absolutely.
He doesn't understand the heat of the moment. Like, I do get that part where he's upset, but it's like,
so Boston College must be a poor university.
No. What I'm thinking is this guy clearly didn't learn from the beginning of game 1 of the season.
And he came from Boston College. Right. He came from Boston College. That's my point. Are these the type of athletes that come from Boston College?
Well, we don't see our boy doing that.
Unmentally prepared, because you don't see it come from Michigan. You do see it come from Georgia and Alabama, a few other schools down there like Florida. You know, you do see these mentalities in certain parts of college football, but I mean, you don't see it in Washington. You don't see it, and arguably, you don't see it at USC. You don't see it at UCLA. You know, at LSU, it caused LSU issues this year. So how is the upstairs not as important as what the upstairs is trying to make the rest of the body do? Are these organizations not taking that into account?
I don't know. And of all coaches, you would think John Harbaugh would have his team ready to play. But like I said, that guy went above and beyond, like you said, his actions.
He went well beyond the need.
He fucked his team.
He literally could have turned his body 33 degrees and looked at the end zone and nothing would have been called.
Oh, for sure.
Had he turned his body 33 degrees and looked at the end zone, nothing would have happened. Why
Absolutely.
not? You did that on purpose because you think it's okay. And that's never okay. That's not sportsmanship okay. That's not nothing okay. Celebrate with your fans. Celebrate with the team. It just makes no sense to me for it to even be a conversation. And the Ravens lost that football game. That was the foundation of that pyramid. The actual pyramid itself is Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
He's a regular season god, apparently. Oh, no.
Well, here's the thing. We expect that kind of behavior from fans.
And from Eagles fans, for sure. Popcorn in the face.
Or if you're the owner of the Carolina Panthers, you just toss drinks on women. I mean, I'm just saying it.
Millionaires need rules. Right? Millionaires need rules.
Yeah, millionaires need rules.
Us common middle folk have all the fucking rules.
Yeah,
y'all up there, you ain't got as many rules as we do. Yet you try to walk around like your shit don't stink half the time. It's crazy to me.
Someone actually said this on it wasn't a podcast. It was a comment on like an Instagram post, and it was Kelsey's brother, and he had he was doing the Care Bear thing with the with the heart going out. It was a meme or whatever. Someone actually commented on the bottom and said, "I just want to know one thing. If he was to strip down naked, run down from the stands, would he be arrested?" No. They go, would he be arrested the same way as the guy that streaks at like a UEFA soccer game or a Super Bowl or a Major League Baseball World Series? Probably not.
No.
Probably not.
Okay, now full context. If Kelsey gets butt-ass naked, yes, he is. Now, the leniency due to the situation caused to the courtroom might be different. And that's where the top 10% sit. Whether we like it or not, that's what money gives you, right?
Well, but I wasn't really thinking about it. I just I was giggling because I'm like, he went there with it. He went there with that comment. I'm like,
dude, there are shirtless football fans all over the stadium.
Oh, yeah.
And my rebuttal to that gentleman or person who made that comment would be, okay, well, what if it was a chick in her bra who jumped out, right?
Yeah. Well, there's plenty of comments you could have said, yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? It's like, dude, go back to your damn hole, bro. That's one of them. That's one of them internet moles.
Oh no. They troll all day, every day. It's not even funny.
I'm going to come up with a new term for them.
A new term for the internet trolls, or
I'm going to call them lollipops. They're internet lollipops.
Lollipops.
They're just suckers with poor flavor. They're suckers with poor flavor. Trolls don't seem to matter anymore. Snowflake took off like a motherfucker, right? So I'm thinking from here on out, I'm calling them lollipops for the rest of my life. You're just a lollipop. You're a fucking sucker with poor flavor. That's got to hurt way more than a troll.
I agree.
World of Warcraft made trolls kind of cool, so.
Yeah.
And being a nerd nowadays, everyone's like, oh yeah, I'm a troll. No, now you a lollipop. You got a whole song. Lollipop, lollipop, oh, lolly, 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 lollipop.
Or the other one. I don't think we can go there. We might get in trouble for the other lollipop song.
Yeah. Does it have anything to do with that wet ass pussy song?
No.
So anyway.
It's the we represent that lolly guild.
The lollipop guild. Yes. Yeah. Lollipop has got to go off at this point. There's so much.
Hashtag lollipop.
Dude, you could Facebook lollipops all day long. That GIF system would have no idea. It would have no fucking idea.
Charles just made the new GIF. It's just a lollipop instead of like the old
fucking lollipop. I used to go around to give people plants, right?
It's not eggplant emojis now. It's Charles with the lollipop.
No, just like an actual GIF of a plant.
Yeah, I know.
You ever asked,
your new one is the lollipop.
Yeah, you're 100%. Because now I ain't got to type. No, I just figured you've wasted enough oxygen. I'm trying to help you out. Now I just leave the lollipop. Bam. How awesome. Can you imagine how many lollipop tattoos are out there too? I hope universally this kicks off. I universally hope. I pray this kicks off.
speaking of which, I was talking the other day to Mandy. I'm like, I really want to get a tattoo. And I'm like, I really hope our natty doesn't get, because I really want to get a tattoo.
Yeah. Oh no, the natty ain't going anywhere. I have no idea. I have no idea where this. Okay, actually, I know exactly where the speculation of Michigan losing wins is going to come from. It's just. Here's my biggest question to that. I take away wins. What does that do as punishment to the
Charles,
school?
It doesn't do it. It doesn't do anything. It just hurts the kids.
Well, okay, so even still, just definitively, without speculation, what does removing wins do? Especially when the leader of the head of the NCAA came out and said the legitimacy of this national title is through and through.
Well, no, I guess what people were saying, the only thing that comes from that is if they vacate wins, they also vacate any record that any player accrued during that time. And there was a lot of records set. Like that would mess up Blake Corum's touchdown record.
Okay, again,
I'm saying it affects everything from the top down. So,
but to me, no, it doesn't. To me, it affects the players that once played there. It doesn't affect the university moving forward. It doesn't affect the players on the field. It doesn't affect the coaches. It doesn't affect
know this because
all it does is give the opposite fan base something to celebrate. Is that what you're going to do for a cheeseburger?
No. Well,
I mean, that's the only thing the punishment can be, right? This punishment is to give the opposite fan base something to cheer about. Is that what the NCAA is going to do? Because nothing about these wins is egregious, right? Because you're talking about a system where everyone was going 85 and Michigan was going 100. So if you take wins away from Michigan for doing the same thing everyone else is doing, you're now taking wins away from everyone. This is a domino effect. So all you do is hurt the players. When was the last time the NCAA vacated wins? Louisville?
No, not
Rick Pitino?
Well, basketball, but the last time I can think of it's the SMU scandal when they got the death penalty. I think is the last time they vacated wins, or maybe another football team might have got that. But
and not to put fact checkers on the spot. My point of asking that question is that if it happened for fucking like it was just thrown on the table as fluently as all these random fans are throwing it on the table, right? If it happened that much, we would have a definitive memory in our lifetime or our adult lifetime of this happening. SMU's death penalty was the worst. Anything along the lines of what SMU did Michigan and Jim Harbaugh's staff do?
No.
I mean, have we heard the death penalty at all from the actual sources, or are we just talking from what the crack-ass fan bases are saying?
Honestly, I think what North Carolina did is way worse. Cheating on tests so their players could play?
Yes. Michigan's in trouble because a recruit visited during COVID and was hungry.
Well, no, the other one, no, even the Connor Stallions thing, it was advanced in-person scouting. So, I mean,
part two is Michigan was going 100 while everyone else was going 85 and a 70. Where is the death penalty, right? Because if you're if you're going to ensue this type of punishment on Michigan for speeding while everyone else is speeding, then I mean the whole NCAA is gone, right?
I don't know if you've heard any of the speculation. Is just it's more so sanctions and obviously scholarships being lost. I don't see anywhere this death penalty thing ever. I don't see any of it. I don't even see real people.
Except for fucking lollipops on the internet going and doing lollipop things.
And Charles,
I'm done making stupid people famous.
I was just about to say this. Just go back to your stupid people famous comment and you'd have every single thing you need to know about this because that's all it is. It's dumb people.
100%. 100%. It's like going to the grocery store and buying $100 worth of groceries and thinking, wow, I'm getting more now than I did 4 years ago.
Yeah.
You're just a lollipop. So anywho, moving away from the lollipops.
Suck on it.
Back to the Lions being the same old Lions.
Yeah, we can go there. We can definitely go there.
They're the same old Lions. That is what
Nothing
you
changed.
expect from the Lions. When the 49ers came out at halftime and they had the ball, I went, oh, this game's over.
I said it when they had the ball, when they're down by 14. I said they score a touchdown here, the whole game changes. And I think you had it before that. You had it when they came out at halftime and moved the ball. They came out at halftime, moved the second first down they had. I kind of felt the same way you're feeling right now.
It was a complete shift. It was electric. I mean, and Brock Purdy was playing damn well, and Jared Goff wasn't.
Yeah.
Jared Goff was playing good enough if the team around him was perfect.
Right.
Which is the exact reason Matt Stafford won a Super Bowl the very next year.
They need to definitely talk to that boy, number 8, though. I mean, hell, he dropped 2 passes that would have – one of them would have set them up in field goal range. The other one would have set them up to run about 4 minutes off the clock. Yeah.
I guess the bigger question I have for that is, why did you throw the ball to a rookie when you have Amon-Ra St. Brown in the second half? In fact, Amon-Ra St. Brown did not get the ball in the second half until just about the fourth quarter.
I think he did drop. He dropped one in the third, I think.
I'm pretty sure it only happened because the commentator literally was like, Amon-Ra St. Brown has 1 target in the second half. What's going on? So why are you throwing it to him? Why is the play even being considered for him? Because the 49ers went from zone, which Laporta was gapping the hell out of, to man-to-man because Laporta was gapping the hell out of him. Two crossing routes would have been sufficient.
Or they could have just freaking not gave the ball to Montgomery because he's not their speed back. Took him completely out of the game. Dude, he can't get to the edge. Did you not see him lose? Like, I think there was 3 plays he lost 6 yards.
Well,
he's too damn slow.
Head coaches are stubborn and they're passionate, but we're talking about Dan Campbell.
Dan Big Nuts Campbell.
Well, we're talking about him like he's the one making the plays, and the play caller was Ben Johnson. Dan Campbell is a really good head coach, and he has really good coordinators that were making the play calls around the game plan they created.
But it's Dan Campbell's call when it's 4th down.
When it's 4th down, absolutely. I mean,
and that happened 4 times, so that was a lot. That changed the game.
Had Jared Goff made the right play, that 4th down is no longer a question.
Well, and you could say that about any 4th down.
But that's my point. We can't sit here and definitively say that 4th down call was the wrong call, because everything about it, including what Dan Campbell did all season, screams that he was going to do it. We were sitting here talking about it. I was 1,000% sure that the only reason they didn't kick a field goal and then go for the onside kick to save time was because Dan Campbell wanted to go for 2 to find out if he was going to win the game with a field goal or win it with another touchdown.
Okay. Well, here's where you just took your own advice and threw it out the door, because why didn't he go for it when they're on the 2-yard line instead of kicking the field goal? And he kicked the field goal instead at the end of the half. He should have, if he was going to stick to that mentality, that was as close as you were going to get. What was 3 points going to be? That made no sense to me.
I mean, for one, they ended up losing by 3 points. So
yeah, but it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered.
He went for it on 4th down inside, or he went for it on 4th down on the it would have been a 38-yard field goal and a 40-yard field goal.
Yeah.
That's 6 points. I mean, that matters significantly. It does take into effect the analytical portion of the game.
No, but I'm saying your chances of scoring a touchdown on the 2-yard line compared to going for it on 4th and 3 on the 35-yard line or 37-yard line. Tell me what the odds are. Tell me aren't they a lot better when you're on the 2-yard line?
And we're talking about going into halftime, though, right? Coming out of halftime, the 49ers get the ball. So if you come out of that with no points at all, and then you give the ball right to the 49ers, I can't.
I don't know. It was 21-7.
Nothing analytically. Nothing analytically makes sense in that term. You take the point.
Well, I'm saying nothing Dan Campbell did the entire game made any sense, because sometimes he went for it, sometimes he didn't. Sometimes he went for it, sometimes he didn't. I mean, I think they had 7 fourth downs.
I guess I'm losing you because in the playoffs, going into halftime with like 0 seconds left, you take the fucking points. You don't.
No. There wasn't 0 seconds. They kicked the ball, but there was like 2 minutes left in the half. They should have went for it.
Huh, I guess that play is it's.
Yeah, there was at least
because it's 21-7. So where did they kick the field goal? There's no way do they kick a field goal with points at 21-7. That's 3 touchdowns.
No, they went into halftime 24-7.
Or with a 17-point lead. Yeah. That's a 3-score. That's a 3-score difference.
Yeah, I'm saying that the
field goal at the end of the half in that situation takes the game from a 2-score game to a 3-score game.
Okay, but why in the third quarter with 6 minutes to go in the third quarter do you go for it? It makes no sense. But the other one makes no sense either. None of them makes sense.
The other one makes definitive sense. It's the end of the half. The 49ers are getting the ball. You go up by 3 scores, not 2. So you can't even go down and score 2 touchdowns and get 2 extra points. You got to score 2 touchdowns and kick a field goal. Everything about that makes sense. The latter side of what you're saying, the next one, the 4th and 2, that doesn't make sense. But if Jared Goff hits the fucking crosser, that goes for a touchdown, right? Now, fast forward to the going for it on 4th down at the end of the game, the clock was already diminishing. You had 3 timeouts, and you had to get the onside kick. When you should have thrown the ball on 3rd down, if you didn't get it, kick the field goal, then go for the onside kick. You've got 3 timeouts with 1:07 left. If your defense stops them, you get the ball back with a miracle shot. What's up?
No, I couldn't find a timestamp. I was trying to find a timestamp for it.
Right.
I was gonna give you the scenarios of how much time was left. We already know anyway the basics.
No matter how much time is left in that scenario, going into halftime, where the other team is going to get the ball, and I have the opportunity to go up by 3 scores, I'm losing my job if I don't do that. The rest of it, I can talk analytics. That 4th down and 2, if they kick the field goal, they have a 39% chance to win. If they go for it and get it, or if they kick the field goal, they have a 39% chance to win. Going for it on 4th down and not getting it, they have a 38% chance to win.
Well, the time on the clock has a lot to do with it, though. If there's 11 minutes to go and you can flip the field, I mean, you give them the ball on the 2-yard line, the chances of them moving the ball 98 yards is not very high. I'm saying the clock does have something to do with it, whether or not you do go for it from the 2-yard line.
Right, but I'm putting more importance into being up by 3 scores than you are. That's where we're at an impasse. You don't think going up by 3 scores in a playoff game is important. That's what I'm gathering from this. You would rather shoot for the moon to try and go up by a touchdown.
I'm saying if your MO is to go for it and you decide not to, I'm saying that's BS that you say you're making excuses for him to say that, hey, that he was in no time was he thinking with his head, and then he thinks with his head and everybody's like, shit, he did the wrong thing.
So yeah, I'm looking at it completely different. A touchdown and a field goal. A touchdown and a field goal.
Different. But that's not what he did the whole season. You're thinking like you would think, but that's not what Campbell did the whole season.
But it's exactly what he did, right?
It's what he did, but that's not what he did all season. All season, he was balls to the walls, go for it. Hell, he went for it on almost twice as many times on a fake punt than any team did in the entire season combined. So the guy went for it all the time. And then for him to make the decision to say,
so you're mad at him that he didn't go for it, and then mad at him that he did go for it. I mean, fuck, you're just mad at the guy. There's stuff I can do about that.
I'm not mad at him. I'm not
trying to make excuses for him. They're hearing the Detroit Lions fans talk. There is definitively 2 sides to the ball. Absolutely. There's people who's pissed at him and people who's not. Everything about me. Go ahead.
If you want to play the analytics game said would have been go for it on 4th and 2. Not kick the field goal.
No. A touchdown and a field goal is the same 3-score difference. It's a 3-score difference regardless. and the opposite team is getting the ball in the second half. I'm telling you, if the Lions were going to receive the second half kickoff, Dan Campbell goes for it. But if you got a fucking 2% difference in this reality of things, I've seen head coaches, you have too, head coaches that keep their jobs don't randomly go for it at the end of the half like that, just because that's what they've done all year long. I mean, if that's what you're expecting to somehow make the next fourth down call seem a little less painful for Lions fans, you got to be pissed at Jared Goff.
No, he went like this. I'm thinking he wanted to go for it. He didn't call for them the field goal unit until the last second. So I think he wanted to go for it. I think he was told to kick the field goal. I'm just saying. I think he was told to kick the field goal.
Who is telling Dan Campbell to kick a field goal?
Who do you think's at the game?
Martha Ford? You think Martha Ford's calling down to the field and go kick a fucking field goal? Or are we talking Vegas here again?
If you don't think that there's people that tell him what to do, like upstairs, come on now. Jerry Jones is telling him what to do.
What? Dan
you don't
Campbell?
Think you don't think Jerry Jones, if it's a play and he wants him to do something,
we're not talking about Jerry Jones, bro. We're talking about Martha fucking Ford. You think Martha Ford called down to Dan Campbell?
Charles, Martha Ford is not in charge of that team. Her son is. We all know that.
Oh, whatever. You think one of the Fords called down there? You think fucking Tater Tot Ford called down there and said, Dan Campbell, kick the field goal?
Why'd he go like this? Why'd he go like this so he could hear in his headphones then?
I'm guessing because the 49ers stadium's pretty loud, dude. I don't know. I can get on board with a lot of things.
I don't think it was very loud. They're losing by freaking 14 points. I doubt it was very loud. I'm thinking he was getting the call. Call.
That's fine. I told you I ain't sitting on that train. As much as at times the NFL
who calls the quarterbacks then? Who calls the quarterbacks? Who calls the quarterbacks?
The offensive coordinator upstairs. The offensive coordinator.
What about when the offensive coordinator's standing right next to him?
You don't see him on the phone. What are you talking about? The only time a quarterback goes to the phone is to talk to the fucking offensive coordinator upstairs. There's not some hidden box in the NFL where the owners can get a direct line to the fucking head coach. I've never heard of this in my life. I mean, I've speculated it many times with Jerry Jones, bro, but that's fucking Jerry Jones, dude. We're not talking about Jerry Jones here. We're talking about the Ford family who's blah, blah, blah football their whole lives. I mean, again, like I said, you can definitively think that because Dan Campbell didn't fucking go for it on fourth down in an NFC championship game to make it a 3-score game going into halftime while not receiving the ball in the second half, that's fine. I don't feel.
You keep saying 3-score game like 17 and 21 aren't two different numbers, Charles. 17 and 21 are two different numbers. One you lose the game if they score 3 times. The other one you tie. So you got to remember that too.
You're assuming that fourth down play is a touchdown, dude.
I'm assuming it because it says 53%. It says 36% on the other one.
A 53% chance in the NFC Championship game, and you're like, "Fuck it, let's roll."
I don't think the game has anything to matter. I think it has everything to do with.
Bro, the playoffs have everything to matter. Do you know how many drops the wide receivers have for Kansas City in the playoffs? They led the league in the regular season. Do you know how many they have in total? 1. Do you know what Kansas City's defense is ranked in the playoffs right now? Not the regular season, the playoffs, a completely different animal. 2. Do you know what San Francisco's offense is ranked? 2. Right? I mean, it's like we're talking playoffs here, bro. We're not talking regular season. You can make that call in the regular season all day long. I don't know. Again, though, 2, I'm not upset with any of the fourth down play calls he made. Fucking Jared Goff missed the guy wide open on the crosser and attempted the same throw Jordan Love tried. Only got a little closer.
That's crazy. The Lions went for it on fourth down 39% of the time during the regular season, the highest rate of any team this century.
That's still only 39%, though, man. We're looking at 39%. Like, that's a big number.
No, Charles, they went for it on 39% of fourth downs. Not that they succeeded on 39%.
Regardless on the words before it, I'm focusing.
Did you just say that's not crazy? 39% of your fourth downs is not crazy. That's like not 6 times a game.
That is not what I said at all.
Said.
I said 39% is a low number. 39% is not a lot. It is the most in the NFL, yeah. And they did go for it a lot. Yes, I acknowledge that.
You want them to go for it on 90% of the time?
Bro, listen, no, not at all. I'm saying that they didn't go for it 61% of the time. That's way more than going for it 39% of the time.
How often? What percentage do you think the Packers go for it on fourth?
I don't know. That statistically doesn't matter to me in my head coach. It doesn't.
If you don't think they're going for it 39% of the time during a game on fourth down isn't a lot, that's a lot,
bro. I just
that's
told
a lot.
You.
That's a lot.
Okay, listen to me again for the second time. Going for it on fourth down 39% of the time is a lot. But the number 39% isn't a big portion of this pie. There is a 61% portion of the pie that says they wouldn't do it, which is way more than saying they would do it.
You know, the closest the last team did, 31% ever. You can't make that up. Stats, man. Stats.
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying that they should have went with the MO. They should have went for it. I'm saying I'm not going to let it go because it's bullshit. You don't just decide to change the way.
But you're mad at them for then going for it the very next time when they should have kicked a field goal.
I didn't say that. I didn't have any money on it.
You're so confused.
I said, why did you freaking change your mind to go for it?
And I gave you a legitimate thought process, but no, you should have done it because you did it 39% of the time during the regular season.
Exactly.
How many times did he do it in the playoffs?
I don't know if they faced that many fourth downs.
I don't think they did. Right, so this
I don't think they punted a couple times.
So this falls definitively in
Rams.
The 61% over the 39%, especially if you're getting a much smaller sample size. So a much smaller sample size in the playoffs, the Detroit Lions may have went for it less than 10% of the time. So what says that they would have done it in the playoffs moving forward? I mean, we could bring in the regular season. That would give Lamar more touchdowns and less interceptions.
Well, if he just moved his feet, he would add more fucking touchdowns. Here's the thing that killed me about that game more than anything. The fact that every time that he threw a pick or he threw a stupid pass, he could have took off and ran for 20 yards.
Yeah, every time. And it's like he came out of the locker room at halftime like he was a first-year player in the league. Look at my first read. It's not there. Head down, wiggle, 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 sack. I don't know what to tell you. Actually, I do. If you listen to me at all, not you specifically, but the listeners, that's exactly who I said Lamar Jackson was in the playoffs. And it's exactly who he played and how he played and who he was in the playoffs. They had to rein him in the first game, completely cut the 8-yard line and said, don't throw it past this. And we're going to hand the ball off. We don't need to do anything else. It's Houston. When the ball went into Lamar's hands, Kansas City walked away happily.
I don't know if Kansas City has enough offense to beat the Niners, though.
It's crazy. They're 2.5.
Baltimore's defense is not that great. They didn't look that great.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not.
I'm not. But you know as well as I do. You said it a while ago that it's Patrick Mahomes. It's the playoffs. It's like if you want to bet against them, you're stupid.
It's the thing is that it's the playoffs. And I don't think a lot of people are understanding how different it is in the playoffs than the regular season. You don't have tomorrow in the playoffs. And if you've never been
a lot of
there
those
with
people
that
don't
feeling,
realize that either.
Yeah, if you've never been there with that feeling, you don't play like there's no tomorrow until you realize there's no tomorrow. Detroit next year has a great shot at being magical, depending on their OC and defensive coordinator. And
I do like that Campbell said that. I like that Campbell said it's gonna be twice as hard to get back next year because they know those guys are leaving. I think they know they're leaving. So,
but now you're no longer the hunted or the hunter. You're the hunted.
Oh,
you
for
were
sure.
an NFC championship.
Oh,
You've got a fan. You've got thousands of fans with 2024 Super Bowl tattoos.
Jesus, oh my God! Did you see that? Did you see what they did? They spent like $100,000, dude. I mean, they spent $100,000.
The amount of Jared Goff over the couple of days. It's like, what the hell are you guys doing? Does reality and y'all not fit well? Right? No. I mean, because that was beyond crazy. We had a 4-time MVP, the cheese of cheese. We had the guns of guns.
Yeah.
We respectfully cheered. Hold our heads up. Karma is a weird fucking fecal mistress, especially when she links up with someone like the football god. You know, fuck with the football gods. Fuck with the football gods. You know what happens? You fumble it, you cut your finger, and then you fuck off the rest of the second half because nobody trusts you.
Is that really what it comes down to, though? I mean, what you were saying and I was arguing earlier, is it a trust thing? It's almost like they lost trust.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Is that partly why they kicked the field goal? You know, just to get points, right?
It's human beings. Well, I mean, and also, too, I mean, you're talking about the Detroit Lions, who their kicker outside of 38 yards and out, they were terrible. They're like the worst.
I mean, you would know. You had McLaughlin or whatever the hell his name is.
I'm telling you, they were terrible. It was not a guarantee that the Detroit Lions score points outside of the 25-yard line.
Well, especially in grass, you know.
Absolutely. So, which also puts a little bit of.
That's why the field goal didn't bother me. Yeah, the field goal didn't bother me.
Hey, my kicker is trash. I need to get him out there and, you know, I mean, there's a buttload of different scenarios. The bottom line about all of them is that Jared Goff did not perform, and you heard Lamar Jackson say it too, but did not perform like they performed in the regular season. They weren't ready for the playoffs. 6-3 at home, 6-3 away at it's like all you had to do was come out and control the clock. You didn't even have to win the football game. You just had to control the clock. In the second half, Lamar Jackson just needed to get Justin Tucker into field goal range 4 times. That's it. If you would have gotten the ball into field goal range 4 times, you win the game, because Kansas City couldn't do shit in the second half like it was all season long. Kansas City goes up in the first half, and their defense holds the next team to 7 points. That's their average, actually, which is the exact amount the Ravens ended up scoring, 7 fucking points. So we'll see. The most crazy. Dominant second. I mean, this is what I'm going to tell people for the Super Bowl. The year Peyton Manning threw 55 touchdowns, not a fucking person thought the Legion of Boom was the Legion of Boom until they won that Super Bowl, and then they became the Legion of Boom. Defense wins championships. I don't care what league you're in. I don't care what sport you're playing. I don't care who you talk to. Defense wins championships, because you know what? That year, the number one offense went up against the number one defense, and the number one defense won the championship. The next year, guess who had the number one defense, and guess who won the Super Bowl? That's right, Peyton Manning and the Broncos. And this year, the San Francisco 49ers are the number 2 offense, coming in against the Kansas City defense, ranked at number 2. If I know anything about football, I'm going to tell you right now, take this to the bank. Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, and that defense wins another Super Bowl, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, but weren't they they were pretty close in the regular season, though, as far as like rankings. I think they were like 4-5 or 3-5 or some weird shit like that.
That's fine. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know my feeling on the regular season and the playoffs. Once we hit playoffs, I don't talk about the regular season.
Who was the number one? Who was the number one defense in the NFL going into the playoffs? Then?
I want to say it was the Ravens.
And then they shit the bed.
Yeah.
Well, no. They didn't shit the bed.
No, but in the playoffs, the playoffs, the better defense statistically was Kansas City's, not Baltimore's. Now, that could be argued that's because Kansas City played, tested, and battled their way into Baltimore. Like I had mentioned on the pod before, Baltimore wasn't ready. They had the day off, and then they played some not ready Houston team. Worst case scenario for Baltimore was playing that Houston team. They should have played the Browns defense.
I think part of the problem too with Kansas City that everybody like is overlooking them too is that they're like, oh, they haven't played a great team. Like, yeah, like you said, Baltimore came in, they didn't have to win. They basically, like you said, sleepwalked through that last game to get there.
Kansas City played a good Miami team, regardless on what we said. They were in the playoffs. They won their division, or close to it anyways. Regardless, that would have had a home game if they won. They're still in the playoffs. The high score, flying, yada, yada, yada. Their offense, much more better. Kansas City's defense, much better. Kansas City comes out on top. The very next game, Buffalo. As much as we laugh about Buffalo, they're a good fucking football team, and they're really hard to beat in Buffalo. And you go in there, and your defense stands tall. You know, it's the same scenario. It's like, yeah, Kansas City only scored 17 points because that's all they had to score. Pretty much the second half of the third and the rest of the fourth quarter was clock control, which is exactly what the Lions should have been doing. Clock control.
Yeah, I can't believe that the Lions went away from the run. Like, they just abandoned it completely. Like, any run they try to run is outside. Yeah.
The same thing happened with Kyle Shanahan, and now the same thing's going to happen with Ben Johnson. You know, I mean, 49ers came out and put up 27 points.
Right.
But the Lions came out and put up 7. So I don't. It's like, you know,
team's going to show up. Here's the kicker: is if CMC comes out and he plays like the MVP, he wants that Super Bowl. He's never won a Super Bowl.
Right.
He wants a Super Bowl.
For Carolina almost his whole life.
I'm just saying,
he's been the most consistent player. 100 yards, 100 plus yards from scrimmage in both games. 2 touchdowns both games. Showed up,
right?
Balled out.
And they did give up 150 yards on the ground to Baltimore. So
yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he's the key. I think he's the key to the game.
I agree.
It's not Kittle, like I said. It's not Kittle. I was just kidding with Kittle. It's not real.
Hey, I understood the reasoning.
I just thought that was a really cool Kyle Shanahan take that he's like, hey, man, could be Kittle. Could be Kittle.
Well, you know what that's from, right?
I do know what it's from, yeah.
I was going to say, we were holding Kittle all game, and Shanahan was pissed, so went up to the ref and was like, this is his fucking route. Watch what happens. So, because I guess there was this argument between the head coach and the ref about there was no definitive foot planted towards a route direction, right? So Shanahan was like, hey, motherfucker, here's the route. Watch. And sure shit, he threw the flag. I mean, it was fucked up, but
he threw the flag right at his feet too. He's like, here you go.
And I'm like, all right, well, he wasn't wrong, you know. And it was the Green Bay Packers, so don't get me wrong. Did it piss me off? Fucking ass, yeah, it did. But it's also why I look.
Yeah, but I mean, penalties are penalties. I mean, it is what it is, right?
It definitely sucks, but you know, young team. You're finding out what you can and can't get away with. I can't believe we didn't have more of those calls.
Right, absolutely.
No, I mean, and as much as people want to feel like they were let down, I mean, 2 really good football games. I mean, for the 49ers to come back the way they did, I mean, they can obviously score points. They've scored over 25 points in both games against 2 really good defenses in the playoffs. Not in the regular season, but in the playoffs.
I hear you. I see what you're doing there.
Green Bay had a really good defense in the playoffs. I mean, and our overall, our defense wasn't terrible. 10th in scoring and 17th overall. But 3 years and inch walking improvements isn't going to get you very much. I'm excited for our potential next guy. But, I mean, a kind of a play-by-play breakdown of second half scoring. Third quarter, 49ers score a touchdown and a field goal. Lions score a touchdown, and then 49ers score another touchdown. Fourth quarter, 49ers score 2 more touchdowns, and the Lions score 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, the one thing that I've come away with, like, kind of as a stone statue for me moving forward, as more of a foundational playoff picture, is that if you can take the points in the playoffs, you take the fucking points until the picture tells you otherwise. Yeah. I mean, it's if you're playing against Mahomes and he's up by 30 points and you're in the halfway through the third quarter, all right, you're not going to be kicking field goals there. You're going to be going for it, right? But it's the playoffs. And so far, the teams that didn't take the points when they could have lost by the points they could have taken when they should have taken them. Green Bay lost by points they should have taken when they should have taken them. Green Bay's lost by points when they should have taken them. Baltimore lost by points when they should have taken them. I mean, the story continues to be the same thing. You take the fucking points.
Does that Baltimore game really come down to Flowers fumbling in the end zone?
I think so. No, it's the sequence. But yes, it's the sequence. It's the taunting 15-yard penalty moving them back. And then the want and the need and the drive to move forward to try and capitalize on the mistake you made to make up for your team caused that fucking boom flip, because Kansas City then took the ball and went down and scored. Yeah, 100%.
You, me, Paul, and Mike talked about it. Arrogance over, ignorance. What are you going to, you have to make that decision at some point.
100%. And the thing is, bro, the thing a lot of fans need to realize, and it's really hard for them too, is that we are not talking about somebody who would be sitting across the McDonald's from you. We are talking about millionaires, people who are living a life with no first world problems other than the ones they've brought with them or created on the path they're currently on.
Right.
You can tell people goodbye, John Morant. You can tell people goodbye. You're not where you are today because of them. Under any fucking universal moon, unless some son of a bitch had a gun to your head the whole fucking time. Right? So I don't want I hate this. I hate this talk about blah, 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 blah. Right? Because I've seen how a lot of you treat your mothers and fathers. So don't give me no bullshit about I've known this motherfucker for 10 years, 15 years, or none of this shit. You fucking do your job. You do what you're paid millions of dollars for. We're not talking about a 9-to-5er here. Millions of dollars for 28 weeks of effort. Right? We're not talking about a full fucking year here. It's crazy.
Well, 28 weeks of effort, 60 minutes of effort.
60 minutes of effort, 18 times if you're lucky.
You can't keep your head on your shoulders for 60 minutes. Come on.
So I don't want to hear it. We don't need to change the rules because these kids can't play football for 60 damn minutes. It's befuddling to me. We're talking about millionaires. We're talking about millionaires. And however you want to look at it outside of that, that's more on you than it is anyone else. Yeah, they're people. We're not talking about their feelings. We're not talking about sending them emails. You crazy ass fans sending people all these random ass death threats and shit. You guys are fucking weird. Lollipops out the ass, right?
Lollipops.
But in the sense of the context of what we're talking about, you stand up and do your job. Nothing more. Be excited with your team. Be excited with the fans. But how dare you try and do anything else? The football gods caught up with you. Call it karma. Call it whatever you want.
It's karma. We saw karma happen on the field a couple times.
The cut on the field, the cut on the finger was karma. The fumble was the football gods. I believe that. I believe
the football
that.
Gods.
Inside of me. Yeah, the football gods. They've had some good shows. They've had some good shows. No, but I do. To kind of recap a little bit here too, right? For those of you who don't completely know, I love to play devil's advocate often. And for the most part, I would say about on 97% of all topics, Patrick and I agree quite a bit. And in definitive color. But there are times in that 3% realm where we're saying the same thing, but differently, or on the complete opposite side of the table. That's human reaction. That's human interreaction.
Well, see, you got Charles's point of view. Yeah.
Right. Well, and Patrick's
that's not really my point of view. I was just trying to think of it from
the other side.
I guess the Detroit Lions perspective. I don't know. I'm not a fan, but
absolutely.
And then obviously you got the rationale. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something we do on this podcast often. Sitting in a damn room with somebody who agrees with you all the time is not fun. It's not enjoyable. I mean, I love my wife, but even she argues with me often. Right. So some of the best relationships I've ever seen have conversations that are colorful. And what we do on this podcast is many, many, many colorful conversations. We enjoy our fans. We enjoy the interaction. We try to keep it a little PG for some of you because we understand how much sports means to you and some of the other topics we talk about. Shout out Denmark and this toxic waste landfill heading towards the Baltic Sea. Hopefully they get that figured out. But hey, how are you doing? Probably not too well.
Yeah. You guys can figure that out, though.
Yeah, but it's just passionate sports with a comedic, informative approach. So we thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you, Patrick. Did you have anything else? I
was gonna say go Lions, but they're not in it anymore.
I know. I mean, like I said, I'm gonna give you my pick right now. I'm gonna Kansas City by 10.
10?
Kansas City by 10. Yeah, absolutely. There'll be a pick six somewhere for Kansas City that Brock Purdy throws that he shouldn't. And I'm not saying that because I'm not on Brock Purdy. You know, Pat, and if you listen to the show, I'm a huge Brock Purdy supporter. But I understand the defense. At the end of the
game, things happen.
And Snead is ridiculous. He is scary. He is big. He is mean. And I think Snead's going to get that little pick six. He should have had 2.
I think it's going to come down to the end of the game. I think so. Yeah. I think it's going to be a one possession game, like you said, at the end. And one of these defenses is going to come out and I don't know. Like I said, we can't bet against Patrick Mahomes.
And Chase Young has been nothing for the 49ers. He's not even like a body bag to help Bosa. I mean, Bosa was doing a little better because people had to focus a little more on Chase, but then they realized Chase has no effort for football anymore. So they're like, well, wait a minute, we need to focus on Bosa.
Right.
It's crazy to me. They had one conversation. What's it like being back with your homie? I thought it was super off-putting that Bosa was like chill about it, right? It was weird to me, but I poked at it as that was Bosa's mentality. But then I realized that, wait a minute, Bosa knew this dude at college and he didn't like the effort. Bosa's an effort guy, right? He's a 365 guy. He's football and food 365. So if you ain't doing that, you ain't on his level, right? So he's like, yeah, y'all hype this dude up, but fuck dirtbag. I don't know what to tell you. We should have listened to him.
Exactly.
So, but again, thank you guys so much for licking the shit out of it, kicking the shit out of it, liking, commenting, sharing, clicking, subscribing, all that fun stuff. We appreciate it all. And listen, I know it's tough. It's tough just going, boop. I get it. But we appreciate it.